Hi everyone, my name is Katie, and today I'm going to spend some time answering your most pressing college admissions questions. Our Q&A video series is designed to help you get a better understanding of a wide variety of different admissions topics. And if you'd like to submit a question for us to answer in one of these videos, you should leave that question in the comments below. You should also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're one of the first to see our next video on a wide variety, once again, of college admissions topics. So let's get started with today's Q&A. For our first question, Alessandra asks, how do you get financial aid when you're going to college or university? Well, when it comes to financial aid, there are a couple of types that you need to be aware of. There are need-based aid, merit-based aid, and scholarships, and student loans. Let's walk through each of those in turn. First, we have need-based aid. Need-based aid is awarded based on your family's financial need, as the name would imply. Need-based aid usually comes from the federal government or from the college themselves, and in that case, it's known as institutional financial aid. To apply for need-based aid, your family must complete all of the financial aid application forms, which include the free application for federal student aid, more commonly known as the FAFSA, as well as the CSS Profile, which is administered by the College Board. Many of these applications require you to submit tax forms or bank statements or other financial documents, so you want to make sure that you have those on hand when you're filling them out. And it might be helpful to have a parent sit with you to, walk your way through those complicated forms. For the FAFSA and CSS Profile, the forms are released on October 1st. So if you're applying early to schools, you should complete those forms as soon as possible. If you're applying regular decision, you need to complete the forms by February 1st. And in fact, some schools even allow you to submit them as late as March 1st under regular decision. As always, you just need to be sure to double check the deadlines on the websites of the schools that you're specifically applying to. Second, we have merit aid. So merit aid is not based on need. It's offered by institutions based on the strength of the student's admissions profile, so based on merit, once again, as the name would imply. Usually it's offered by universities to students who are overqualified compared to their general student body. So the existence of merit aid means that having a strong academic and extracurricular profile is even more important because it can actually boost your chances of receiving generous financial aid directly from the university. Scholarships are another form of merit aid, and they can be offered through the school or, of course, by private third-party sources. Scholarships offered through colleges tend to be pretty competitive, and they often require a separate application on top of the application to the school. External scholarships, though, are not always the best use of time. They require a lot of different application materials, and the acceptance rates for them tend to be pretty low. For more information about external scholarships, you can watch our scholarship video, which is linked in the description below. So lastly, let's move on to the third type of financial aid, which is student loans. So student loans are a sum of money that are given to students in order to help pay for college, but that money must be paid back, and it must be paid back with interest on top. There are a couple of different types of student loans, including federal, state, and private. To apply for federal student loans, all you have to do is complete the FAFSA. You will then be notified as to the amount of loans for which you have qualified according to your answers on the FAFSA. And then state loans operate pretty similarly. Private student loans tend to have much higher interest rates, so it's a good idea to prioritize financial aid and merit aid and federal loans before you move to that last option of taking out private loans. So, Alessandra, I hope this answers your question about financial aid. If you need more information, feel free to visit our blog where we have a lot of resources about the FAFSA, the CSS Profile, and everything else you need to know. For our next question, Melissa asks, does applying early increase my chances of getting in? So this is actually a really common question that we get at CollegeVine, and after working with more than 10,000 students over the last several years, our data shows that applicants across the board do in fact have a higher chance of getting accepted when they apply early decision, even when differences in candidate strength are accounted for. At many schools, students have around a 10 to 12% higher chance of acceptance if they apply early decision, 6 to 8% higher for single choice early action, and around 4 to 6% higher for normal early action. Once again, the answer is yes, your chances are improved to apply early, but why is that the case? Well, it's because yield is an important factor for colleges. That's the percent of accepted students who end up enrolling. Yield is important because it not only helps predict enrollment for financial purposes, but it's also a big factor in many college rankings, which are very important to schools. Because early decision applicants have already committed to attending before they're offered acceptance, it helps colleges more accurately predict their yield, and thus it's a bit easier to get in the early decision round. For more information about applying early, you can visit our blog. Moving on to our third question, Scott asks, will taking a gap year negatively affect my college application process? This is a great question. Taking a gap year is becoming increasingly popular, but it shouldn't negatively affect your college applications. So at the very basic level, the procedure for applying to college will be no different. It's just that you won't have a dedicated guidance counselor and teachers to lean on through the application process because, of course, you already will have left your high school. You'll have to take the initiative and be the driver behind your own applications. Let's go into a little bit more detail about the things that you'll need to keep in mind if you're considering taking a gap year before college. So number one, high school records and transcripts. So ideally, you will discuss your gap year with your counselor before graduating from high school. And so when applying to college during your gap year, you'll need to reach out back to your high school early in the application process and have them send along your transcripts. So if you're applying early, you want to remember to get in touch as soon as possible because those deadlines come up. If you're applying regular decision, you want to get in touch by about October to receive those transcripts from your high school. Number two is teacher recommendations. So if possible, we highly recommend securing those recs while you're in high school or soon after graduating. You probably don't want to wait until the middle of your gap year to reach back out because you want those recommendations to be really descriptive. So the sooner, the more recent in your teacher memory you can get them, the better. Your teacher is likely to remember less if you wait a full year to ask for the recommendation. Of course, you could also consider one recommendation that actually comes from your gap year, such as a teacher, a supervisor, a mentor, or a boss that's been working with you in that time. While they have only known you in the last few months or year, it's important for the admissions committee to get an idea of how productive and committed your gap year has been, not that it's just been kind of a break. Number three are test scores. So your test scores should still be valid after your gap year, but you're not under any obligation to use them if you feel as though you can retake the tests and actually do better. The process is the same, and you can request score reports through the testing website's online user portals. Maybe use that time during your gap year to study a little bit more and increase your test scores. So overall, accounting for the gap year, you need to include an explanation for your gap year, why it was important to you, and what you got out of the experience. You can include this information in the essay section of the Common Application or the other application websites, or in the additional information question that's provided on most applications. For our last question of today, someone with the YouTube username of Snowflake asked us, what are some good law-related extracurriculars? So if you plan on applying to law school after undergrad, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, law schools want well-rounded candidates. There's really no predetermined path or prerequisite undergrad coursework for law school acceptance. So there's definitely no requirement for high school extracurriculars. Indiana University advises that high school students interested in a career in law should, quote, develop skills in writing, analysis, critical thinking, and research, end quote. So here are our suggestions for what activities to try when you're interested in pursuing a law degree. Number one, service projects. Service projects are always a great choice because they show your commitment to selfless causes, and when they're chosen mindfully, they can fit really seamlessly into your academic profile. The best way to approach finding a service project is looking for a cause that you truly care about, regardless of its relation to a career in law, and demonstrate that you're a well-rounded student who's passionate about helping others via this cause that you selected. Another opportunity that you might want to look at is jobs or internships. Because writing skills are so important on the path to law school, finding a job or internship that actually builds those writing skills will be super beneficial as you craft your applications later on. Some examples include editing or communications, maybe working for a local newspaper, or helping researchers with proofreading and publishing their academic papers. You can also find internships related to law by searching for what's available in your region. If you can't find a specific internship, you can always ask to just shadow a lawyer in their office for a week or two to learn more about what they do on a day-to-day basis. You just want to be sure to come prepared with questions and be ready to make great connections with the people that are working in that office. Another option to think about if you're interested in law school is summer programs. So there are some summer programs that can be valuable to learn about law and yourself, although they may not bear as much weight to law school as programs that you actually participate in during undergrad, during your years of college. Some options for summer programs related to law include the National Youth Leadership Forum, Law and CSI, the National Student Leadership Conference Program on Law and Advocacy, or several of the Georgetown Summer Institutes. So with all of those options, I hope this answered your question and gave you a few ideas for extracurriculars that you can participate in now during high school if you're interested in becoming a lawyer after undergrad. Thank you to all of you who submitted questions, and I hope that we helped to answer some of them. If you have a question that you want answered, remember that you can submit it in the comments below. And also don't forget that you can visit CollegeVine's resources mentioned in this video, which are linked in the description. See you soon for our next Q&A.